First of all, good evening, everyone, brothers and sisters. It's so good to be here with you. You guys look so beautiful out there. It's like, I don't know, it's like Woodstock out here. My name is Kazumi Balaboon, and I'm so happy to be here at this specific space and time. Thank you, Michael and Debbie, and thank you, Francis, for letting us into your dream. The title of my small contribution is called "We'll Be Reading Marketing from." For those of you who grew up in the '90s, know that's from Digger Planets, where I'm from. And it starts off with this idea that that socialism and the Black liberation struggle have always been married together. Like there's this whole type thing where we look at someone like Obama and we both want to take the right wing both wanted to take away his citizenship and then call him a socialist. Right, and there was a whole, and there's a strategic framing that's always been around in terms of framing the civil rights struggle. So oftentimes when black folks rose up, it was always those quote unquote communist agitators, those people from the outside. Well, it's always funny that we who built the wealth of this country have always been framed as people on the outside, but the idea is very much framed that as people who built the wealth in this country, and being very specific about that, and let's be honest about it, let's be really truthful about it. When we talk about Wall Street, what was the first commodity sold on Wall Street? It was black slaves. And why did they call it Wall Street? To keep the Native Americans out. That's a tremendous history that we're dealing with, right? And so when we're talking about occupying Wall Street, we're talking about really getting to the heart of the matter, of really correcting the historical trauma in which this country has been part of. But more to the point of that, right, is this idea that within the context of the Black freedom struggle has always been this idea of a transformative socialist practice that's always been present. And you see it time in, time out. You see it in first of all, in some of the African societies where socialism was already practiced even before slavery. You see it in the fact that many of the abolitionists had socialist dreams and visions, including the German immigrants who came to America who were abolitionists. Karl Marx himself wrote, white labor cannot be freed as long as black skin is branded, right? You see it in the fact that John Brown, many people know about John Brown's raid on Harper Ferry. How many people know that he wrote a whole entire new Constitution of the United States of America that outlined the idea of common property amongst whites and blacks, right? This is the deep history that we're talking about here. And then what are we talking about too in terms of the Harlem Renaissance? Langston Hughes going to the Soviet Union, Claude McKay. Oftentimes I say that the Harlem Renaissance was purple. It was black and red. It was also gay, right? It was purple, right? So there's a different color around it too. Both Langston Hughes and Claude McKay being, queer, bisexual activists and artists. And what do we talk about in terms of folks like Angela Davis and the Kabahi River Collective, right? Kabahi River Collective, founded by Barbara Smith in the 1970s, and Audre Lorde by radical black feminists. Why did they call it the Kabahi River? Kabahi River was the site that Harriet Tubman, right, led a raid to free 400 slaves. Harriet Tubman was not just a quiet old lady, like sneaking slaves out. She was a general, right? And she was trying to break the back of white supremacy by her actions, right? And this is the tradition that we're part of, right? That we're definitely part of. And as Michael mentioned, right? As many people who are pro-socialist in this country right now, the majority of African American people are for socialism because of their lived experience under the horrific conditions of capitalism. When you talk about a city like New York City, that billions are being made in Wall Street, you have 50% of African American young people being unemployed, then we need a socialism right now. They just gave me that signal until I started walking. So I'm going to read out just a little bit of this last chapter that I want to just kind of bring a couple people into the house. phone, please save me a glass of wine. A day after Wall Street was occupied, my son Nas Huxley came into the world. I often joke that like the Occupy movement, my son was born looking messy, disorganized, and screaming for attention. And like my son, Occupy is a mixture of generations past, trying to learn how to be in the present and looking towards the future. The seeds of socialism can be found in organizations like the Black Food Sovereignty Network of Detroit, or in Jackson, Mississippi, with the Jackson Plan, which was just recently elected Chokwe Lumumba as Mayor Jackson. Indeed, socialism is an unfinished chapter of the Black freedom struggle. It has been the dream of many before us, and as Tony King once wrote, the dream is real, my friends. The failure to realize it is the only unreality. Amen. Let's get to work.